Welcome back to the MOOC course on research writing. My name is Aradhana Malik and I'm helping you with this course. And we were talking about what writing is and how you can improve, how you can work on, or how you can start writing. So before actually jumping into research writing, I'm going to share a few tips on how you can start writing, how you can start shaping your ideas. You conducted your research, now the time has come to put them into action. So creativity in writing, we'll talk about what writing is and how different writing styles evolve. Okay, so creativity in writing can be brought about by addressing those 6 questions: what, why, how, of, whatever it is that you have done. Now, how do we establish links between whatever we have studied, whatever we have read? Stage 1, we identify the 2 points between which the link is to be determined. So the 2 different points that we have, we establish the link between those 2 points and then we consider the physical features of the 2 points. And this is from the thinking program. It was called the Array 1 Nowhere Spelled Backwards thinking program that at least I went through in 1988. Now stage 2 is you consider, first you identify what you want to connect, then you consider the physical features of the 2 points, you compare the physical characteristics of the 2 points, that is content, origin, dimension, activity, color and shape, and then after that you identify the exact purpose or use or function of each of the 2 points. Now you see if there is anything in common. Okay, this is called the 3P method. Then the next exercise is called the Ptp exercise. Ptp stands for pass through prism. You break up a situation into its constituent parts to come up with a complete list of all the factors that need to be considered or organized in accomplishing the task. So you break it up and then you see that all of these factors are there, you come up with a list of the factors that you need to go through, that you need to pay attention to in accomplishing the task. Then you increase your efficiency in doing that, in breaking things up. You lessen the chances of missing any relevant information, and keep in mind that there should be no repetitions. You should only look at the relevant factors, and this should be put in or you should write all these things down on paper. Okay. The next exercise that you can do is the positive, negative, interesting side. So you do, you find out, you list the factors or the aspects of whatever you are describing as to what is positive, what is negative, what is interesting. And again, we are not specifically talking about research writing anymore. We are talking about opening your mind to different ideas. Research writing, we'll come back to research writing. I just wanted to share all this information with you so you would at least get interested in writing. When we do research writing, what I tell my students is that you write whatever comes to mind. You describe whatever it is that you have done in as much detail as possible, with as many emotions as possible. That is draft 1. Pour your heart out on paper, and then you start structuring it and formatting it and structuring it and formatting it. Okay, so positive, negative and interesting. Now pass through prism and positive, negative, interesting, you bring these 2 together and that results in thoroughness. Again, this is not specifically about research writing, this is about crisp writing in-depth writing in general. Okay, then we talk about exploring ideas. Now when we are trying to explore ideas, various ways in which you can explore ideas. The first one is brainstorming, and this is from a book by Lunsford. And so you think of every word or phrase that comes to your mind, then you try thinking of the opposite side of your topic, then you compare the lists and establish connections to form new ideas, which is the keywords, so the keywords emerge. Then you try the pass through prism method, and that way you can explore certain ideas. Okay, then another method by which you can explore new ideas or be creative is free writing. Free writing is a method of exploring a topic by writing about it for a period of time without stopping. So you think about an idea and you start writing. You just ramble on initially. Use any language you want. Forget about grammar. Don't worry about spellings. So just write. You set the clock and write for 10 minutes. Write anything that comes to your mind about that particular topic. So you go round and round and you say one thing and you say another and you say, let your mind wander and don't stop, and then you if you get stuck, just write anything, but don't lift your pen from the paper. And this helps if you do it physically with a pen and paper, not on the computer, because the computer can be very distracting. You could be distracted by the type of font you're using, full stops, commas, etc. But when you're writing physically on a piece of paper, then it becomes, you're sort of under some sort of a compulsion. Anyway, so you write for about 10 minutes. Then when the time is up, then you look at what you have written, and you will realize that your mind has gone in one direction. You may have been thinking of several things, but when you write, the fact that you are expressing yourself acts as a feedback that goes back to your mind and pushes you in a specific direction. So you've already narrowed down the span of what you have done. This is very difficult to explain and do through this online medium that we are on. This becomes much more clear when you are in one or when you are doing it physically. So please take my word for it. If you want to try this exercise, write about anything that concerns you. Could be a social problem, could be a research topic, could be something that you study in class. Just identify a topic and write about it for 10 minutes. Write anything that comes to your mind, and then read after 10 minutes, read what you have written. Okay, and the next thing is connected to it. Once you've done your free writing, so looping is a kind of free writing in which you sort of narrow down your topic through 5-minute spurts of loops. So you spend 5 minutes free writing about your topic without stopping. This is your first loop. Then you lift your pen and then you read what you have written. Now your topic has got a certain direction. Then you think about that topic for maybe 10-15 minutes and start writing about this one direction that has emerged out of the first loop. Again, write for 5 minutes without stopping, and then you will realize that even with that sub aspect, you're going in a particular direction, and that then will stimulate a specific direction to your topic. So this is, again, this exercise is better understood if done. So it's very difficult to explain it or to understand the relevance of it through this online medium, but please take my word for it, you can try it. Okay, and that's what you do. So you take the summary sentence from your first topic and start writing about that, and then you take the summary sentence from your second paragraph and start writing about that, and you go on, keep this process going on till you discover a clear angle on your topic or something about the topic that you can pursue in a full length piece of writing. Okay, clustering, that's another method. You write your topic in the middle of a blank piece of paper and circle it. Then in a ring around the topic circle, write down what you see as the main parts of the topic, and you circle each one and then draw a line from it to the topic, and think of more ideas, examples or other details relating to each main part. Maybe I can show you how this happens. So clustering is a way of generating ideas using a visual scheme or a chart. So this is how you do clustering, and the mind map is another way of clustering, and you can see the mind map on your computers or in Google Play Store. So you keep repeating this process till you find the connections to different topics. Okay, then we move on to the different styles of communication, the kinds of styles we have. So when you have decided how you want to generate ideas, we have various styles in which you can present your ideas. Now different styles of writing something are, there's a very nice paper by Ewing that was published in 1974, and it's called the Protean Communicator. And so Ewing describes 6 different styles of communication. The first one is flowery or oratorical style, which is appropriate for festive occasions. This kind of style, you use inflated words, and you use a lot of large big words to describe something. So I'm going to read something from the paper itself. And so in the oratorical style, you could say maybe I'll just read from the paper. The outstanding feature of this Great Depression is that the economic order developed since the Reformation and the Great Society developed since the fall of the Roman Empire have come to be threatened not by the destructive impact of external or natural forces, but by a spontaneous disintegration from within because of an incipient failure of collective will and political wisdom, and because of the lack of sound ideology on the part of the ruling classes and of the leaders. Now, this is an example of oratorical style where you use a lot of inflated phrases, you use a lot of expletives, you use a lot of exaggerated words. So, this kind of style is suitable for festive occasions. Then you have the plain or straightforward style, which is earnest and artless. This is a direct style of writing that is used in business. So, you know, it's very simple, where you say, okay, you please go and do this, say please switch on the light. That's a direct style of talking. So, or a research was conducted, that's still slightly indirect, but then when you say that the results are X, Y, Z. So, the results of the study are, you know, so many % people are doing this and so many % people are doing that. Now, that is a direct style of writing, that is a plain and straightforward style of writing. Indirect or opaque style of writing is perfect for cover ups, where you know, so it's perfect for cover ups where you go back and you use a lot of hedging, you use a lot of different kinds of words that take the reader's attention away from what is being said. Okay. So, I will just read you know, about the indirect style here. So, instead of saying who will submit the reports, you say the cost of equal opportunity program was estimated incorrectly. So, you use passive voice in order to cover up things, and so you do not take the blame. It had to be done, but it was not done. Then you have personalizing or humanizing style, which is used to stir up the readers and arouse interest in action. So, so you use a lot of words. Will you not do this? People are doing X, Y, Z. So, let me read something from the paper here, and I will give you an exercise that will help you understand the differences in each of these styles. So, for example, surveys consistently show that the American people believe that businesses will provide the answers to society's problems. Throughout the 60s, the sermon was preached by all sorts of strange bedfellows: Henry Ford, Whitney Young, John Lindsay, President Kennedy, President Johnson, President Nixon, Roy Innis, etc. Left, right and center, the argument and belief remained the same. If you could just unleash the problem solving power of American business, new cities would be built. So, you sort of, you know, you create emotions in the mind of the readers, and this is the kind of style that public servants use, that politicians use to arouse interest in action. Then stilted or redundant style is the next one. This is overly formal, pompous, wordy. It has a numbing or draining effect, and you say you are hereby directed to complete so and so application by such and such date. That is indirect. However, as per rule number 5.6.9.13, you are hereby directed to follow these or to submit this report, failing which, as per rule 13A.26, you will not be you will not be eligible for so and so, or the competent authority has directed us to, or you are hereby directed by the order of the competent authority as per rule number A.3.4 para 5.6 to do X, Y, Z. Now, I am not poking fun at the rules and regulations. This is the way the government works. So, this is wordy. This is heavily laden with formal notations. It's heavily laden with references to authority, and it has a numbing or draining effect. And this is the kind of language you use when you want to put somebody in their place. Then you have the winding or voluminous style, and I like to call it the jalebi style. Now, most Indians would know what jalebis are. So, you just go round and round and round in circles. So, you just go around a topic. So, you brainstorm and you think of different aspects, and one word stimulates another and another stimulates another, etc. So, this is excellent for brainstorming or idea generation. Okay. Now, to discover your own writing style, we all have a natural inclination to write in one way or another. To discover your own writing style, I would suggest that you try each of these exercises. So, maybe if you could write so think about what you would write if you were to write a speech at your best friend's wedding, or The second thing that you could, so my suggestion is that you write all 6 documents and then see the different ways in which you would describe, or the different ways in which you would write these things. So, a speech at your best friend's wedding, a request to the accounts office seeking clarification regarding your scholarship disbursement. These are the actual exercises I give to students in my class. Defending yourself when you have been caught doing something wrong, consoling a friend who has recently lost a loved one, negative feedback to a subordinate who is older than you and insists on treating you like a child, because many times, especially in in senior organizations, you will find people who are much older than you, and you try and ask them to do something, and they will say that I've been doing this since your father was a student here. So, that kind of thing. So, in order to remind them that yes, you respect them for their age, however, because of the responsibility you have been assigned, you still need them to do something differently than what they were doing earlier. So, in doing that, you have to do something. Okay. The relationship between religion and quantum physics. I don't know if a relationship exists. I just picked these 2 topics because I thought they were very remotely connected, if at all. Now, again, I could be mistaken. I leave it to you. So, if you do this exercise, you will see the connections between these different styles of writing, and your own, you will realize what kind of writing do you like to do. So, my suggestion is that you do this and then you try and understand, or you try and list, or you try and describe what type of writing do you like to do most often. For example, I have seen people who come from the industry tend to use a lot of direct writing, and you ask them to write an oratorical sentence and they say we can't do it. On the other hand, people who are studying humanities like to be more verbose. Their writing is more winding and voluminous. People who are studying literature or philosophy, they tend to write in more winding and voluminous fashion. Now, people who are students of law typically like to write in a combination of indirect and the stilted sort of manner. People who are in the administration will use the redundant, people who are in the administration will use the redundant style of writing. So, it could be, no style of writing would be, in most cases you will use a combination of different styles of writing. However, when you are writing research reports, the one that you must use would be plain and straightforward. The one that you must absolutely avoid, actually various ones are there. The ones that you should avoid when you are writing research documents are, you should never use flowery or oratorical style of writing. You should try, at times you need to use the indirect style, but you should avoid personalizing and humanizing style of writing, and you must avoid the stilted or redundant style of writing. Occasionally you may need to use the winding and voluminous type of writing or indirect writing. Straightforward is the one that we use most often. So, this sums up our discussion on writing. We will continue with some more discussion on the techniques of writing and how you need to write in the next lecture. Thank you very much for listening.